All right, ready to dive into some Shakespeare?
Always up for it.
And no, before you switch over thinking this is all dusty old sonnets, we're digging into something much more interesting today.
Oh, you tell.
You know we love to get into the nitty-gritty, and today we're taking a deep dive into Henry IV, Part 2.
Interesting choice.
We're going to uncover what makes this particular history play so relevant, even centuries later.
You know, you're right. People hear history play and they think it's going to be all,
Crowns and battles.
Yeah, exactly. But this one gets into power, responsibility, and let's face it.
The friends we keep.
Absolutely. Things that never really go out of style, am I right?
Never go out of style. Now, for those who need a quick recap, Henry IV, Part 2 was written sometime between 1596 and 1599. And it's actually part of a 4-play sequence.
A saga.
Right.
Yeah.
Imagine binge-watching a Shakespearean saga. That's what we're talking about.
Sign me up.
This play picks up right where Part 1 left off.
And it's fascinating because Part 2 dives less into the actual warfare that we saw in Part 1.
Right.
And more into the human drama unfolding as Prince Hal prepares to transition from, rebellious prince to King Henry V.
Huge transition.
Right. The weight of the crown, what it means to lead, and the sacrifices demanded. That's where this play gets really interesting.
And let's not forget, running parallel to all of this royal drama is the story of one of Shakespeare's most iconic characters, Sir John Falstaff.
Ah, Falstaff. What's fascinating about him is that his storyline, runs alongside the main plot.
Yeah.
But barely intersecting with it. It's almost like Shakespeare's giving us 2 plays in 1.
I like that.
He gives us incredible comedic relief, but he also embodies this whole other side of life in those times.
Yeah.
A look at the underbelly of society.
He's definitely not your typical knight.
No, he isn't.
This excerpt dives into his escapades. We're talking drinking, racking up debts. Let's just say he enjoys the finer things in life.
To put it mildly.
And maybe bends the rules a bit to get them.
It's an attack.
And yet, he's undeniably witty and charming.
That he is. His character really makes you think about, what it means to be a knight.
Right.
He's not out there winning jousts and,
saving damsels.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
He's more concerned with winning at life, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Even if it means,
bending the rules a bit.
Yeah. He's almost a satire of, the whole chivalrous ideal.
Oh, definitely. And that's what makes him so relatable, right? He's flawed, he's excessive, he's kind of a mess, but he owns it. With such wit and charm. I mean, that line about being the...
Oh, this man...
Because that woos in other men. It's classic Falstaff.
It really is.
Yeah.
It totally encapsulates that, the infectious energy he has, But if we dig a little deeper...
Okay.
There's a poignant layer to Falstaff's character, too. Here he is, clinging to, youthful pleasures, surrounded by young people, almost desperately trying to,
Outrun time.
Yes. And yet, you can't help but sense this awareness of his own mortality.
Yeah.
Kind of creeping in.
Yeah. It's that contrast, right?
Yes.
The playfulness juxtaposed with this awareness of his own aging. It makes you wonder how much of his act is a facade and how much is him genuinely trying to, hold on to the good times.
Precisely. And then, on the flip side, you have Prince Hal caught in this struggle.
Yeah.
Between, the carefree world Falstaff represents and then the immense weight of responsibility that he's about to inherit.
Talk about pressure.
Right.
His father, King Henry IV, is seriously unimpressed with this whole tavern hopping side of Hal. It's a classic case of...
You're going to be king.
Start acting like it. Right.
Yes. And Shakespeare taps into something very human here. What do you say?
Oh, absolutely.
That tension between who we are in private, our desires, our need to let loose, versus the roles we're expected to play in public.
It's so relatable.
It is. Something we can all relate to, even if the stakes aren't quite as high as a
throne.
As a throne, exactly.
Right.
Right.
And the way Shakespeare depicts Prince Hal grappling with this, it's like he's stuck between 2 worlds.
He is.
You see him torn between the allure of Falstaff's carefree lifestyle and the burden of his royal destiny. And as if those internal struggles weren't enough, the play throws some serious external chaos into the mix too. Rebellions brewing, political scheming left and right.
Oh, absolutely.
And
it's like Shakespeare threw everything at them.
And then, bam, King Henry IV dies.
Well, for a bit there.
For a bit, yeah. Everyone thinks he's dead.
Which I think is a really interesting moment.
Yeah.
Because it forces Hal and us as the audience to confront what his true nature really is.
Right?
Right? Is he going to rise to the occasion? Will he embrace the sober responsibility that comes with the crown? Or is he going to, revert back to that carefree life he enjoyed with Falstaff?
Right. And it's like you're waiting for him to,
Make a choice.
make a choice. Exactly. And Shakespeare, like, he doesn't give us any easy answers.
He really doesn't.
Speaking of not getting easy answers, that ending, poor Falstaff.
Uh-huh.
Talk about a reality check. This guy, I mean, he was so sure he was about to be swimming in royal favors.
He was. He really thought, he was ready to cash in on that lifelong friendship, right?
Yeah.
Convinced that their bond transcended social hierarchy and political realities.
Yeah.
And you almost feel for him. Almost. Until you remember some of his more, shall we say,
Questionable choices.
exactly.
And yet, I don't know, there's still that pang of sadness when Hal, now King Henry V, publicly rejects Falstaff.
It's heartbreaking in a way, isn't
It
it?
is. It's this harsh reminder that power, responsibility, duty, they often demand sacrifice. And in this case, it seems like the price of the crown is those carefree tavern days.
It really is. And it makes you think, doesn't it? I mean, for me, it elevates the play beyond just a simple historical drama.
Sure.
Shakespeare's not just showing us these events in the past. He's forcing us to grapple with these timeless dilemmas. The weight of expectations, the sacrifices we make in pursuit of ambition, the complexities of human relationships.
Yeah. It's so much more than just a history play.
Exactly.
And I think that's why it still resonates with us, all these years later.
Definitely.
It makes you wonder, like, if you were in Hal's position, where do you draw the line?
Oh, that's a tough one.
At what point does, like, securing your future mean, letting go of your past and who you were?
It's a question I think a lot of us grapple with.
Yeah.
Even if the stakes are a little less, shall we say, royal?
Right. A little less royal, but it's still that universal feeling of, moving between different stages of life.
Absolutely.
Different friend groups, different versions of ourselves. And to think the Wikipedia article, right, it mentions that the epilogue of Henry IV, Part 2, it promises more Falstaff.
Oh, really?
Imagine my surprise when I realized that he actually dies off stage in the next play.
Oh, wow.
Why even hint at his return? Only to, like, snatch him away like that.
It's almost as if Shakespeare knew he couldn't keep a character like Falstaff down for long.
Yeah.
Even in death, right?
Right.
By denying us that, final definitive ending for him, it's like he leaves us with more questions, more food for thought.
Food for thought indeed. So after this deep dive into Henry I, Part 2, we're left with this question for all of you. If you were in Hal's shoes, where would your breaking point be? Could you, even knowing all of his flaws, stay friends with someone like Falstaff? Let us know your thoughts. Until next time, happy reading.